Good morning, my dear ABM students. So, we're now on Module 2 of Homeroom Guidance Program, Quarter 1, entitled Accepting the Individuality of Others. Okay. So, for this module, it will be for 120 minutes, but we will divide it into 2 weeks. So, week 2 will be 60 minutes, and for week 3, the other half of 60 minutes. What are the learning objectives for this module? Number 1, determine the basic aspects of an individual. Demonstrate suggested ways in accepting others. And number 3, formulate home or school policies that promote respect for individual differences. And lastly, appreciate actions or behaviors that accept individual differences. So what are the materials needed for this module? Number 1, clean sheet of paper, a bond paper, ball pen, and your coloring materials. So for the first activity, you have to do let's try this. That is for 20 minutes. That is observation of others' uniqueness. So you have to copy the table given below on a sheet of paper. You follow the instruction on your learning module and then answer the processing questions on your paper. So we have there the persons, the description, and then names. So the first instruction is think of 3 different persons who are similar in a certain aspect that you would like to observe for this study. So you will be thinking of 3 persons and then you will just write their names on the column provided. Example, 3 famous personalities, singers, dancers, inventors, politicians, artists, etc. Write their names and describe them using the options in each column. Use your best judgment on them. Write your answers to the processing questions after. So, lively or reserved, nurturing or disciplinarian, conservative or liberated, thinker or doer, planner or easy-go-lucky. So, what are the processing questions that you have to answer on this part? Number 1, were you able to fill out all related descriptions for each person? Which of the descriptions is the most observable? Number 2, what is the most difficult description to observe? Explain your answer. What can you say about the differences that you observed among these 3 persons? Okay, so that's activity number 1. Next, you have to answer, let's explore this, and that's again 20 minutes, showing support for others. So you have to copy the table on a sheet of paper, and then how will you support others in the given situations? Write your answer in each column. So how are you going to support them physically, emotionally, socially, and spiritually? First one, that is 1 to 10. I just copied there 1 to 4, but upon looking at your SLM, that's 1 to 10. For example, a new classmate with a physical disability. How are you going to support them physically? How are you going to support your classmate emotionally, socially, and spiritually? And then also answer the processing questions. Number 1, what do you notice with your answers? Number 2, which of the situations is the most difficult to handle or manage? Explain your answer. What type of support or help is the easiest to provide? Explain your answer. And what have you realized after doing this activity? Now, let's move with the discussion part. So the first picture there says, we are all different and that's beautiful. So what do we mean by that? Imagine if we are all the same in this world. How are we going to determine or distinguish that this person is different from one another? Okay? As we all know, we are all unique. Your classmate is different from you. Your teacher A is different from teacher B. Based on this module, we will be discussing the 5 healthy ways to deal with our individual differences. Let's start with number 1. Accept that we are all different. Don't assume that your preference would always be the same as those of your peers or friends. Hindi lahat, hindi kayo pare-pareho ng gusto, yung opinion niya hindi pareho sa opinion mo. Of course, there are similarities among you, but all have different stories to tell that affect the way you see things. For example, magbabarkada kayo. Hindi naman kayo lahat, you will agree on a certain part. Yes, somehow you will agree, but there are times naman na you have to also consider their own perspective. You have to check, you have to counter-check kung ano man yung opinion niya na hindi parehas na sa'yo. But, of course, you just have to respect that. Okay? So, you may have different beliefs, culture, values, and even interests that you cannot force anybody to be exactly the same as you. Hindi natin mapupwersa ang ibang taong sumang-ayon lagi sa'yo dahil yun ang gusto mo. There are times na you have to accept their own preference. Diba? Parang, kanya-kanya tayo. Kasi kung pare-parehas na parang sa isang pagkain lang, kung puro matamis lang yan, nakakasawa. Pag puro maalat, hindi rin maganda. So, kailangan balance lang. Remember, even twins have differences. Kahit kambal pa yan na nakikita mo sa harapan mo na bata, eventually you will see the differences on them. Okay? So that's number 1. Accept that we are all different. Number 2. Use your similarities with other people to strike a harmonious relationship with them. While you acknowledge that people are different from each other, there are also commonalities which you may take advantage to establish positive relationship with them. At this point in time, you might have found the right people who can be your good friends, who can inspire you to strive harder, and who can be your role model. For instance, nung grade 11 kayo, syempre galing kayo sa iba't ibang section. Nung grade 10 kayo, junior high school, bago nyo ma-build yung barkadahan na yun kasi with a certain members of the class, syempre makikita mo dyan yung, ay, parang swak kami ni ganito, ni ganyan. Kasi meron kayong commonalities. And then from there, you can use that, diba, to build relationship with your classmate. Parang pag magka-college na kayo, and hoping na magiging face-to-face siya, example, mag-aaral kayo sa Malolos, Bulacan, ganyan. Galing kayo sa iba't ibang school, nabitbit nyo yung mga values na meron kayo na hindi parehas ng kanila. Pero at some point, you will have commonalities na you can use that, di ba? Parang, etong mga to, pwede ko to maging friends kasi they are good influence. Okay? Parang ganon. Okay? So, use your commonalities or similarities to build relationship with other people. Next, number 3. Be open-minded with others. What do we mean by being open-minded? You can always learn from the experiences of your friends and peers as they also do the same with you. Sometimes, your friends will tell you their stories na minsan makakapulot ka rin ng lesson. Just like them, when you share something to them and then kailangan mo rin magsabi na, ganito yung natutunan ko sa bagay na to. They will also learn from you as if it's a give and take situation, diba? The manner they overcome life challenges and how they impact their living could be your insights to improve your lifestyle or even the way you see things around you. Parang ano lang yan eh. If you are in a situation na you want to ask idea, suggestion from your friends, sila kasi nakikita lang din lang laman nila yung situation. And then on that point, they will give you suggestion. Parang ano lang yan eh. When you put your hand or your middle finger or point finger on your forehead, medyo hindi mo nakikita ng maayos. But, pag nilayo mo yan sa'yo, you can see a bigger picture of that situation. And that would help you. Diba? Be open-minded with the things na around you. Be open with all the suggestions. I think it will also help you as a person. You can also learn from their culture, traditions, and values. Parang ano lang yan, minsan, akala mo, kunwari, punta ka sa isang lugar, Eventually, you will learn from them eh. You will adopt. Parang ganon. Okay? Next. Number 4, try to consider where others are coming from. Ano ibig sabihin doon? Your family setup may be different from what your friends have. People might have grown up in a province or in a highly urbanized city. There are those who have a complete set of parents and those who have a single parent or no parents at all. Additionally, people have different childhood experiences which greatly affect their attitude and personality now. There are also those who struggle financially and those who are well off. Keep in mind that people are coming from different backgrounds and they act, decide, and make decisions based on those things. Para ano lang yan eh. Minsan, yung klase mo bad trip siya. So, syempre, intindihin mo ano kaya nangyari sa kanya. Bakit siya bad trip? You're thinking or you have to consider where others are coming from given in that situation kasi they will react based on what they are experiencing. Para ano lang yan, yung kaklase mo, kaya pala maingay sa school, talagang sobrang daldal niya. Kasi sa bahay, hindi siya makapag-open up. Or, other situation naman, tahimik siya sa school kasi napakaingay naman niya sa bahay. Ganun yung sa amin as a teachers. We see that way, na kaya pala ganito siya sa school kasi ganito siya sa bahay. Kaya pala open siya sa mga teachers niya kasi wala siyang mapag-open up sa bahay kasi wala siyang magulang, laki lang siya sa lola, etc. So, we also consider where others are coming from. Kumbaga, iniintindi natin yung ibang tao. Kasi hindi tayo pare-pareho. Hindi lahat kompleto yung pamilya, may nanay at tatay. Yung iba, single parent lang. Okay? Yung iba dyan, hindi nyo pa alam, breadwinner pala sila. So, you have to consider. Kasi yung ina-act nila na nakikita mo, kumbaga may pinagdadaanan din naman yung ibang tao. So, bago nyo husgahan ang isang tao, at least kilalanin muna natin sila at saan sila nanggagaling. Okay? And lastly, if your differences with others are getting in the way, try to have a common ground. So, you cannot impose your beliefs. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin, ganito dapat ganito, dapat ganyan. Okay, values and cultures to others, the same way that they cannot do unto you. Ganun din, hindi nila pwedeng i-impose sa'yo na dapat ganito ka kasi ganito kami. No, we are all different. However, instead of trying to prove who's better and who's not, you may want to find an area where you can both improve yourself while learning from each other. There are differences that are worthy to talk and celebrate, and there are those that we just have to accept unconditionally, just like in the second item. There's no point in comparing people as each of us have our own potentials and abilities. So, ang pinapoint out lang dito, you don't have to compare yourself with others. Kumbaga, parang ano lang yan eh. You don't have to compare your success with the success of others. Kasi minsan, doon mo makikita na manliliit ka sa sarili mo, bakit ako ganito lang, bakit siya ganun? Bakit ako hindi ako nakakarating sa top? Bakit si ganito, ganun, nakakarating siya? Pares lang kami nag-aaral. No, you don't have to compare yourself with other people. Kasi may kanya-kanya kayong potentials eh. Kumbaga, I believe, meron kang kaya na hindi niya kaya. At meron din siyang kaya na hindi mo kaya. So, balance lang. Okay? Kasi pag kinompare mo yung sarili mo sa ibang tao, tendency malulungkot ka, bababa yung self-esteem mo, yung self-confidence mo, bababa. Ayun. Di ba hindi rin siya maganda? So, always remember that you coexist with others. There are things that you cannot control, like the people around you, but you can always manage the way you deal with them. The choice is always with you. Either you make the most out of those individual differences and have a happy life, or you make that as your limitations. So, that is our discussion for week 2 on HGP. So, it's all about dealing with individual differences. Ikaw ay iba sa kaklase mo, yung kaklase mo iba sa'yo. So, there is no point for comparing yourself to other people. You are unique, you are special, we are all different. So, to end this discussion, I want you to watch this video clip and I hope you can jot the notes for the important info or quotations from this video. And after that video, that ends our week 2 see you again next week for the continuation of Module 2 of Homeroom Guidance Program. Thank you.
When you look around your classroom, the playground, or even your family, does everyone look the same? You're right, they don't. There are so many things about us that make us different and unique. Think about all the things that make you and others unique and special. But remember, not all of these things are things we can see. Likely people we know have different skin color, different hair color and texture, or different eye color. They may be in a wheelchair or have some other physical disability. Perhaps they don't think or learn the way you do. Maybe they have 2 moms or 2 dads, or maybe their family is religious. We all eat different kinds of food and wear different kinds of clothes. Some of us even speak different languages. There is so much more, and it's all very cool. Life would be pretty boring if we were all exactly the same, wouldn't it? You might think that these differences mean we can't understand one another, but that's not true. Even though we have all of these amazing differences that make us unique and beautiful, there is also so much about us that is similar. All of us, regardless of background or life situation or experience, have a lot in common. And one of the most important things is that we all have feelings. We all get worried and scared. We all get sad and cry. We all get frustrated and even angry. And we also all experience happiness and laugh. Perhaps most importantly, we all have a deep desire to be cared about and accepted for exactly who we are. The best thing we can do when we meet someone that seems different from us is remember that we are probably a lot more similar than we think. It's pretty awesome, and sometimes even surprising how many similarities we find once we really get to know someone. Think about something unique about yourself that makes you different from others and what you most love about that difference. And if you are so inclined, share it with others without any apology at all.